All right. This is the best portion of Lights Camera Podcast. This is for, I would say, top of the line gear, the kind of things that you're not going to need another one for the foreseeable future versus the others where there is a lot of area for improvements and, technology is always advancing. Some of the features on some of these devices and some of this equipment is just going to stand the test of time and already has. That being said, again, we are not a tech channel. We are not a tech company. We're not going to dive into all the tutorials for any of these. This is literally just what we've arrived to in terms of different client equipment lists that we've provided. We want to provide these to you. So that way, if you are looking to level up, you can. I'll follow an order that is good for us, giving you multiple options in each scenario, and we'll go from there. Now, again, if this is your first time here, the price range is around $5,500. And if we're meeting for the first time, I know I mentioned it already, but my name is Rich Cardona. Our company runs some of the top podcasts in the world. As a matter of fact, we have 4 podcasts in the top 50 right now. So we are doing well for them and we want to do well for you as well, whether you're a beginner or whether you're a seasoned podcaster looking to just improve how you look and how you sound. That's why we're here. So we're going to start with cameras and the support gear associated with the cameras. The 2 camera types that we'll look at are Sony and Canon. The only reason I do that is because there is a vicious war between these two at all times. Some people are just Android people. Some people are iPhone people. Well, the same thing goes when it comes to cameras. And I'm going to start with the Sony. The Sony A7C is absolute top of the line camera. That is going to be $1,706. Absolutely just touted as one of the best cameras on the market right now. Now it will need a lens. That is body only is what we're talking about for that $1,700. The lens that we recommend is a 17 to 28 millimeter Tamron lens. Again, all these are on Amazon. That's going to run you about $746 and it has a 2.8 f-stop. Now, the lower the f-stop, which the lowest I've seen anything go down to is 1.2. A 2.8 is just right there. It looks fantastic. And the lower the f-stop, the blurrier the background we got going on right now. This is at a 1.8, a Sony A7C. It will need a lens. That does not mean you can get a better lens, but the 17 to 28, not only does it give you the ability to be a little bit wide, but just gives you the ability for absolutely sharp video, which is what you want. Now, if you have not heard me ever say this before, we do not operate our cameras, whether it is a virtual recording like this or in person, if we're not using AC power for the camera. We never want to rely on batteries. Although some cameras have improved battery capabilities and lasting power, you never want to worry about it. So you would need an AC power adapter for the Sony A7C, which would run you about $39. Now, if you're not into Sony's, then we recommend the Canon EOS R6, and I have one of those, and I have 2 of those. I have 3 of those actually. That is a body only. That is $2,100. It's full frame, just absolutely excellent recording time if you are not recording directly to computer. Now, these are cameras, I should say, are for more in-person type interviews. You can use it as a webcam. You could absolutely get it to function as such, but a camera like that should not just be sitting behind your desk to make you look amazing for your virtual podcast or your Zoom meetings. These are cameras that are completely functional outside of just this. You could do video podcasting in person, which we do. You will need a lens for this one as well. So the body only, again, is about $2,134 for the Canon EOS R6. I've always used the EOS models since they've come out for Canon, and I've never been disappointed, except, well, this is EOS R, and it has a 29-minute recording limit, so that was why I had to upgrade, and I could not be happier with the R6. It's absolutely fantastic. The lens we recommend is a Canon 50 millimeter lens, which is extremely diverse, and it goes down to a 1.8 f-stop, which is exactly what you're looking at right now. That is going to be $180. Now, this lens is a 50 millimeter. Okay, I did not say 17 to 28 like I was talking about with the Sony. That means this lens is fixed. It's not going to zoom in. It's not going to zoom out. So the only thing that you could do is move closer or move back. So that might take some positioning, where you position it, how you position it, but it is an unbelievably fantastic lens. A lot of people call 50 millimeter lens a nifty 50 because it is so diverse and is absolutely a prime lens. A prime lens just means a fixed lens that is just a powerhouse. And again, this one goes down to 1.8 f-stop. I also would recommend a Canon Prime 24 lens. That's exactly what you're looking at right now. The lower the millimeter, the more wide it can get. It goes down to 1.8, which is that right now. It does not zoom in or out either. So if you wanted one over the other, then you have the opportunity. The benefit of something like this is you could always zoom in post-production. But again, I'm using this on a different camera and as a webcam. So it is a fantastic fantastic webcam lens if you looked at any of the other options, the client list that we gave you. AC power adapter for the Canon as well. That's going to run you about $26. We're using dummy battery, AC power all the time. The tripod we recommend is a UB size. It's, again, these are all on Amazon. This is $42. This is probably the most affordable one we found. Now, you might be saying to yourself, I need something better. And if you want, absolutely go for it. Manfrotto's Quickly Climb. That's probably the best name brand in terms of tripods, but we've seen no issues with this $42 tripod and its ability to pan up and down, left and right, etc. We just wanted to get something that is middle of the road for you. And I just don't believe, whether your tripod and camera are going to be stationary or on the go, that it's going to be sitting on the tripod at all times. We've used it many times, zero issues with it. It's 67 inches tall. You want to get to 70 inches or maybe a little bit higher depending on the situation, but anything lower than that, we found you have to just compensate, and it can just be a little bit of a pain. SD cards, I will give you a quick breakdown on how SD cards work. They go by memory: 64, 128 gigabytes, 256. You're going to want something pretty substantial because you'll probably be recording in 4K, because why would you not with cameras like these? So we recommend 128 gigabytes or higher. Now, there's going to be a letter and a number associated with these, and that actually depicts upload speed. The numbers that could accompany it are V30, V60, or V90. The higher the number there, the more expensive it'll be. So in this case, we are recommending 128 gigabyte V60, which is going to give you plenty of memory as long as you're emptying it every time and cleaning the card. And then V60 upload speed, that's going to be $64. Anything higher than that is going to get obviously more expensive, but there you go. Now, just so you know, I did talk about how I was recording using a Canon EOS R right here as a webcam. I do not have a card in that camera right now. So if you have no intention of recording on the go, you do not need an SD card. But why wouldn't you have one in case you are going to be on the go, or you want to go take pictures at a party or an event or something with your children, whatever it may be? It's just good to use a camera as much as possible to get familiar with it. Again, if you want to use this as a webcam, you will need one little device. It's called an Elgato Cam Link. Basically, you're going to have a mini HDMI cable that's going to come plug into the camera. It's going to connect into this Elgato with an HDMI. The Elgato is going to plug into your computer, and then you're going to have this. There is no cable that goes directly from your Canon to your computer that doesn't necessarily have its faults. There are some options out there, but the Elgato Cam Link is widely regarded as just the perfect go-between. And at $106, you're good to go with that. Not needed for the Sony. Okay, not needed for the Sony. Sony has the plug and play capability to make that amazingly expensive and awesome camera turn into a webcam. Now that we've covered cameras and support gear, we are going to go into lights. I have a light right here that I do not need at the moment, but it is a key light, and it is my key light, and it is called an Amaran 60D. It is a $159 light. That's actually so much smaller than you would imagine. The thing on top of it is called a modifier, which is going to run you an extra $102. The powerhouse of a light that is controllable via Bluetooth, which I have the app on my phone. Ever since I started using it in any situation, this light is going to change everything. It has the ability, especially with the modifier, to light a wide area, and that's exactly what you want. We recommend just one of these if you're going to have it like on set, so to speak, and then you will need a C-stand. A C-stand is just going to be something substantial in order to hold that light up, and that C-stand is going to be $158. It's got 3 points of contact, so it's got a pretty wide base. You can adjust it up and down. You just really won't need anything else except maybe a key light. You get any other little light to put in the background, or you could get a LED light for under $100, but your substantial light is going to be the Amaran 60D. I mean, it's absolutely worth it. It's impressive. It looks completely professional. That's why it's in the best package. That's why I recommend it. The microphone we are recommending is the Shure SM7B, which is this guy right here. It is top of the line. It will require an audio interface. I will get into the audio interface a little bit later, but all that means is this microphone does not connect directly to a computer via a USB. And the reason is it's a professional microphone. This is recording to the computer, but I have it through an audio interface. And let me just stick to the microphone at the moment though. This microphone connects via an XLR cable. There's no USB connection here. An XLR cable is what's going to be required to plug this microphone in. Now, what goes on the other end is an audio interface. The audio interface is going going to be a device that is actually going to capture the sound of what's coming out of this microphone. And a lot of times this is going to be hugely important for in-person podcasting. You can use it virtually. I kind of am at this moment, but this is a microphone you want. It is the standard. You've seen the big dogs. They all have it. And that's not the reason why. I've tested many microphones and it's just nothing really compares to this. So associated with that, you get a desktop stand. We have a very basic, perfect desktop stand that's $21. I mean, I can't even really explain how simple it is, but the reason we love that stand is because it's low profile and it's just easy to move. But a lot of stands are actually higher than people think. And I've seen in many of our recording sessions how the microphone actually gets in the way of the person at different angles. And you don't want the person's face to ever be covered. You could adjust the angles, of course, but like if you don't want to worry about it at all, get a very low profile, sturdy desktop stand if you're going to be stationary for the most part, or at a desk or a high bench or something if you're doing an in-person podcast. But for $21, it's a no-brainer. The boom arm for the SM7B, I have a boom arm right here. So we use Rode. It's $106. This gives you just a ton of flexibility. You could do a million different things with it. It folds up, but this is fantastic. This is what we've seen end up being the best option for a lot of our clients, especially if they don't want the microphone to be encroaching too much. They could have it come out from an angle. This is just easy, super flexible, super versatile. I do have an extender tube on here to give it a little bit of length away from the whole contraption itself. That's $9. If you didn't want to use this, there are many other kind of boom arms out there. I'm starting to see a little bit more low profile ones, and that's fine. But I would recommend a standard, and Rode is fantastic when it comes to this. So $106 for that and $9. Now, we do recommend also a DJI Lav. What you might not realize is that sometimes you might not even need a microphone. But if you had a setup at home in a studio and you wanted podcast sound on the go, then I would recommend a DJI Lav mic. Now, the best part of this is it comes with one transmitter, two receivers. So that's for you and your guest, or you and your co-host, or whatever it may be. And it records to each receiver and to the cloud. So that's like pretty foolproof, which is fantastic. If the camera audio fails, it doesn't matter because you have those as well. So those are small, those are low profile. That is $351. So if you wanted to do on the go and you wanted to bring your camera or cameras, but you didn't want to bring your microphone because it's a huge SM7B, DJI Lav is going to be perfect for on the go. Many of our clients are, the clients who have our best packages, they have not only this setup, but they also have the DJI Lavs as well. Headphones, if you need headphones, which are not always required, but if you want headphones, Sennheiser is the brand that you're going to want to use. $93 if you desire them. It's going to be a great price. They are the least bulky looking, in my opinion. If you're going to have multiple people on, you might need a headphone splitter. Now, what I say multiple people, in-person podcasting with more than two people, I would absolutely recommend headphones in that regard. Otherwise, you do not need it. A lot of experts and a lot of OG podcasters will tell you that you need headphones so you could hear yourself better, you could hear the guests better. I've never had an issue. I've done substantial amount of in-person podcasts with no headphones, zero issue hearing anybody, zero issues with the sound quality. If you have someone who's going to be monitoring that for you, grab them a pair of the Sennheiser headphones and they'll be good to go. The splitter is so multiple headphones can plug in. And then you would need a 3.5 millimeter to 1/4 inch cable on Amazon just to make all that happen. So that's $93, $29, and $11 for the headphone aspect of it. Now, I mentioned the audio interface. Now, again, I mentioned the XLR cable. XLR cable is what you're going to need. So $24 for the XLR cable. And then a Rodecaster Pro 2 is out now. I'm using a Rodecaster Pro 1, I believe, but the Rodecaster Pro 2 is $746. It's a beautiful colored machine that allows for up to 4 inputs, 4 microphone inputs. You could import and create sound effects on there, which at the press of a button in the middle of a podcast, if you had different segments, you could just introduce it there. But it is just widely known just for its reliability, for its simplicity, and just for ease. Ease and simplicity are things that we all want. I promise you, all it would take is your creative director or your director of brand or your tech director, whoever it is, they're not familiar with the Rodecaster Pro. They could probably get familiar within a half hour or less. So totally seamless. Again, the microphone, then they have an XLR cable, plugs into the audio interface. The audio interface in this case would be the Rodecaster Pro 2, where the sound will be recorded. Now, because of that, you will need a micro SD card that will plug into the back of that. Those will run you under $40. So they're micro SD cards to record the sound for that Rodecaster Pro. Okay, now we're going to get into power. There's a surge protector we recommend here for $19. It is an 8 outlet plus 2 USB surge protector, giving you the ability to just house all the plugins in one place. So if you need to plug in your Rodecaster or a different audio interface, you could plug it in there. You need to plug in your multiple cameras, dummy batteries in there, you could do it. If you need to plug in your light, your Amaran 60D, you could plug it in right there. It's all in one place, and you have the USB ports as well if you have anything else that you wanted to put in there. USB hub is $11. If you needed a USB hub type C, that would be with 4 ports. That's going to be $20. USB hub type C for Mac, that is going to be $30. Cable ties is the last thing I would recommend, and those are going to be $26. They're colored. This is just going to help you identify which cables are where, get everything out of its own way. If you don't do that in the beginning, then anytime you feel like you are going to mess something up by moving things around, you will. You absolutely will. So just take advantage of getting some cable ties and organizing these things. And once you have it organized, whether it's for on the go or outside, or whether you're stationary, you're going to be thankful that you took the time to have those things organized, or that your personnel and team were able to organize those for you. So that is it. This is all gear that is going to stand the test of time. It is expensive, but it is absolutely worth it. And if you want to truly blow people away, and this is single host, I should have mentioned that at the beginning, single host, this is gear that you are just going to be using for years and years and years. If you have any questions for us, please email us at info@richcardonamedia.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at richcardona_. And also, if you ever want, you can go to our YouTube channel and you will be able to see a lot of us documenting the process of starting a podcast. We have plenty of podcast material on there for you to consume. So our goal is just, again, to just educate you, to help you level up. None of this equipment is going to make you a better podcaster. You're going to look better. You're going to sound better. But if the content isn't all there, then I would definitely consider maybe a different package. Your ability to create content on a systematic basis, charismatic basis, and be motivated to understand what that content could do for you is going to be the driver between a great and a good podcast. So thank you so much for your time. We look forward to hearing from you. Hope this was valuable.